Being a royal guard is not just a job, it's a way of life, a commitment to discipline, duty, and honor. These guards stand still, sometimes for hours in front of iconic landmarks, representing the strength and stability of the royal family. Every step they take, every movement is calculated and precise, designed to maintain the image of calm authority. When you watch them from a distance, you see statuesque figures in red and black uniforms, their tall bearskin hats almost as iconic as the palaces they protect. They are meant to look unshakable, unwavering, and perfect. But this strict and silent world is only part of the story. These men and women are trained to hold their ground no matter what happens around them. Their training begins with a focus on physical endurance and emotional control. Long hours of standing in the same position, in all weather conditions, are followed by intense sessions of marching and rehearsing the exact movements they'll make when it's time to switch places. Every guard learns the art of precision, how to be disciplined not just in body but in mind. There is no room for mistakes when you are standing at attention in front of thousands of people. Your every movement scrutinized. The pressure is unimaginable, yet these guards must never show it. Imagine the stillness of standing at attention in a busy, bustling city where every passerby is watching you, snapping photos and expecting nothing less than perfection. You can hear the noises around you, the chatter of tourists, the footsteps of people in a hurry, the sound of buses stopping and starting. But you must stay silent, unmoving, like a statue. Some people try to make you laugh to get you to smile, or even challenge you in ways that would break anyone else. But not the royal guards. Their training has taught them that no matter what, they must remain calm, collected, and completely focused. It's not easy and it's not fun, but it's their duty. In these first days on duty, a guard begins to realize how tough the role is. It's not just about standing still. It's about facing a constant challenge to your self-control. The first time you stand in front of an eager crowd, all eyes on you, you start to feel the weight of the expectations. There is no room for mistakes, no second chances. The tourists are everywhere, taking pictures, making jokes, and trying to break you. They want to see you flinch to make you laugh, but the guards cannot react. The pressure to remain professional is enormous, and every guard feels it. There are moments during training when the guards feel like they've reached their limits, and just standing there seems impossible. They're told that breaking character would not only let down the royal family, but also betray the trust of the public. The uniform they wear isn't just a costume. It's a symbol of something much greater. The guards aren't just standing there to protect a palace or a building. They are protecting the image of the monarchy, of a tradition that dates back centuries. They are walking history, representing the past, present, and future of the nation. And with this responsibility comes incredible pressure. The training is long and grueling. In the early days, guards are taught to march, hold their position, and interact with the world around them without breaking their stoic demeanor. But the most challenging part is learning how to deal with the emotional strain of the job. The uniform may make them look like soldiers, but they are not there to fight. They are there to stand and serve. They are often faced with moments of quiet solitude, standing in the midst of large crowds, feeling isolated. Even when surrounded by hundreds of people, there is a certain loneliness in the role. It's a job that doesn't allow for small talk or moments of personal connection. What the public doesn't see is the emotional cost. The life of a royal guard isn't just about discipline and dedication. It's about being constantly observed, constantly held to an impossible standard, and when they are finally allowed to take a break, they are often alone. Many guards feel the weight of the world on their shoulders, burdened by the responsibility of maintaining an image of perfection. At times, the pressure can feel overwhelming. But despite all the challenges, most guards never complain. It's their duty, and they carry it with pride. They understand the importance of their role, even if they don't always get the recognition they deserve. The public may admire their stoicism, but there's more to the story than what meets the eye. They are human beings, and their silent strength is not just a reflection of their training. It's a reflection of their commitment to something greater than themselves. Over time, guards begin to accept that breaking character is simply not an option. They push through their exhaustion, their personal struggles, and their emotional turmoil because they know their role is about more than just themselves. It's about maintaining a symbol, a sense of stability, for the country and for the people who rely on them. But no matter how tough the job gets, the guards always know there's one thing they must never forget: their responsibility to stand firm. But still, There are those moments when even the toughest individuals can't help but feel the strain, whether it's the weariness that comes with standing still for so long, or the emotional toll of the job. Sometimes even the most disciplined guard can feel like they're on the verge of breaking. Yet, in these moments of doubt, they remind themselves of why they are there. They are standing guard not just for the royal family, but for the history and the legacy of a nation. It's not a glamorous job, but it's a necessary one. And the guards know that no matter how hard it gets, they must keep going. Their role in history is too important to falter. But deep down, they are human. And every once in a while, even the most composed royal guard will show a crack in their armor. It might be a fleeting moment, a brief second where they smile or exchange a word with a passerby. But it's these moments that remind us all that the guards, for all their training and discipline, are just like us. They carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, and sometimes, just sometimes, the pressure gets to them. But they push through, because that's what they do. They stand strong, even when everything inside them wants to break. And it's in those quiet, heart-stopping moments when the world around them doesn't expect it, that the true humanity of the royal guards shines through. Behind the proud and unyielding figure of a royal guard lies more than what the public sees. While the guard stands tall in their uniform, enduring the long hours of silence and scrutiny, there is a life beyond the palace walls, one filled with personal struggles and silent battles. The outside world might view them as unshakable, stone-faced protectors, but the reality of their lives is often far from the image they project to the public. Every day, a royal guard steps into their uniform with a sense of duty, knowing that their job is about more than just standing still for hours. It's about representing the strength of a nation, the history of a monarchy, and the pride of a royal family. However, what's often overlooked is the emotional toll it takes to hold such a powerful image. These guards don't get the chance to show their emotions or share their personal struggles. They are expected to remain calm and collected, even when things are falling apart inside them. The training is intense, and it's designed to prepare the guards for the emotional challenges that come with the job. They learn how to block out distractions, how to focus solely on their task, and how to remain composed no matter what happens around them. But no matter how much they prepare, it doesn't make them immune to the mental and emotional strains that come with the job. Many of these guards struggle with isolation, loneliness, and the constant pressure to be perfect. They may spend hours in front of the crowd without a single word of encouragement or support. And while people may take photos and admire them from a distance, they rarely stop to consider what it's like to be in their shoes. The emotional cost of the job can be overwhelming. Guards are expected to stand for hours without moving, even when they're exhausted or in pain. They must ignore the ache in their legs, the sun beating down on them, or the cold wind biting at their skin. The uniform is heavy, and standing still for so long is physically draining. The public may not see it, but every guard feels the weight of the responsibility on their shoulders. The pressure to never break character, to always remain composed, is exhausting. The mental toll is just as heavy as the physical one, and it's something that doesn't go away once the guard leaves their post. The isolation is one of the hardest parts of being a royal guard. While they're surrounded by crowds of people, they are often completely alone in their thoughts. They are isolated not just by their physical position, but by the emotional distance they must maintain. There's no room for casual conversation, no chance to connect with the people around them. The public views them as statues, something to admire from a distance, but they rarely consider the human being inside the uniform. For many guards, the loneliness is one of the hardest parts of the job. They stand there for hours, sometimes facing hundreds of people who walk by without even acknowledging their presence. And while they remain silent, their minds can be filled with thoughts of family, friends, or personal struggles that they cannot share. Even though they are surrounded by crowds, there's a certain quietness to the life of a guard. They have little interaction with the outside world, and their job leaves little room for personal expression. They can't react to anything that happens around them, whether it's a child smiling at them or someone trying to make them laugh. Every guard learns early on that they must block out the distractions and focus on their duty. But this constant emotional restraint can be overwhelming. There are moments when the guards feel like they are losing a part of themselves, swallowed by the uniform and the expectations placed on them. Despite the challenges, the guards continue to perform their duty, often without any recognition of the mental and emotional toll the job takes on them. They put on a brave face and march forward, knowing that they are playing a critical role in upholding a centuries-old tradition. But behind that composed exterior, they carry the weight of their personal lives. Many guards have families and loved ones, but they must often go without seeing them for long periods. The nature of their work makes it difficult to maintain relationships or even find time for themselves. The emotional cost of this job is real, and it's something that many guards face silently, without any outlet to express their frustrations. There are stories of guards who have felt overwhelmed by the pressures of their job, who have had moments of doubt or despair. Some have experienced anxiety or depression as a result of the constant strain, but because the job demands that they maintain an unshakable appearance, they rarely seek help or show any signs of vulnerability. They fear that doing so would undermine the image of strength and discipline that they are supposed to embody. The truth is, the emotional struggles that guards face are often hidden behind the polished image they present to the public. They are expected to be perfect, to stand firm no matter what. But beneath that facade, many of them are fighting silent battles. They carry the weight of their emotions in silence, often without anyone noticing. Sometimes the pressure becomes too much, and there are moments when the guards can no longer hide their emotions. These rare instances are often fleeting, but they reveal a side of the guards that the public rarely sees. Whether it's a brief moment of connection with a stranger or an emotional exchange with a family member, these small moments of vulnerability break through the carefully constructed wall they've built around themselves. But even in these moments, the guards remain silent, often hiding their true feelings in order to maintain the stoic image expected of them. The public might never know the full extent of the emotional toll that being a royal guard takes on these men and women. The guards are expected to be symbols of unwavering strength, yet they are human, just like anyone else. They have the same fears, the same doubts, and the same emotional struggles as the rest of us. But their role demands that they suppress these feelings, to stand tall and steady in the face of everything that comes their way. It's important to remember that, beneath the uniform, the royal guards are individuals with their own personal lives, dreams, and challenges. They are not just statues in a uniform, they are real people, carrying out a demanding and often difficult job. They may appear untouchable, unyielding, and implacable, but in reality they are fighting battles that no one else sees. They endure the emotional strain of their job in silence, continuing to serve their duty with the same discipline and strength that is expected of them. And while they might never break character on the outside, there are moments when the weight of it all becomes too much, that reveal their true humanity. Though the public may never see these private struggles, it's important to remember that the royal guards, for all their outward strength, are just like everyone else. They carry their burdens, their emotions, and their stories silently, standing tall no matter what's happening inside. As much as the royal guards are known for their stoic nature and unshakable discipline, there are moments that break through their composed exterior, revealing the deep humanity that lies beneath. These moments are rare, often unexpected, and sometimes even surprising to both the guards themselves and the people who watch them from afar. For most of the time, they stand as silent figures in front of grand palaces, never moving, never showing emotion. But what happens when the rules of their rigid world are unexpectedly shattered? What happens when, for just a moment, the mask slips and the true feelings of a royal guard are exposed? One particular instance, like so many others, began without warning. It was an ordinary day in front of one of the royal residences. A crowd had gathered, as usual, to watch the changing of the guard. People were excited to see the famous ceremony, eager to witness the grandeur of the royal tradition. But there was something different that day. It started with a child, a small, curious girl, no older than 6 or 7. She had been staring at the guard for some time, her eyes wide in awe. After a few moments, she took a deep breath and, as if caught in the excitement of the moment, she approached the guard. The guard stood there, as he had been trained, rigid and still. But there was something about this child's innocent curiosity that made him pause for just a fraction of a second. The girl had a small bouquet of flowers in her hand, which she shyly held out towards the guard. She smiled brightly and asked, "Can you give this to the Queen for me?" The question was simple, yet it carried a kind of sweetness that melted the guard's usual focus. For just a brief moment, the guard's usually unreadable face softened. His eyes, which had been fixed straight ahead, now flickered towards the girl. The tenderness of the gesture, the innocence in her eyes, was enough to make even the most disciplined soldier hesitate. The guard didn't speak, not because he couldn't, but because the emotion was too strong to put into words. He could feel the warmth of the child's trust, a pure, unspoken connection that transcended the distance he usually kept from the crowd. The guard slowly bent his head, acknowledging the girl's offering, and there was a brief pause before he nodded. It wasn't the dramatic show of emotion that some might expect, but it was a subtle gesture, a human reaction, hidden beneath the layers of training. The crowd around them seemed to sense something special had occurred, though no one said anything. It was as if the moment itself spoke louder than words could ever capture. For the guard, that small exchange carried more significance than most people could understand. It wasn't about the bouquet of flowers or the fact that a child had spoken to him. It was about the connection, the brief moment of tenderness in a world that often demanded him to be stone-like and impervious to emotion. It reminded him of what he had been trained to forget, the simple joy of human connection, the beauty of a sincere interaction. For a split second, he allowed himself to feel something real, something unchoreographed. It wasn't a breakdown of character, it was a reminder that, even in the midst of his disciplined role, he was still a person with emotions, with the ability to care and respond. As the ceremony continued, the guard returned to his usual stance, the world returning to its usual pace. But inside, something had shifted. The feelings he had kept tightly locked away for so long, the loneliness, the weariness, the isolation, had been momentarily softened. There, in that brief interaction, he found a reminder of why he had chosen this difficult, demanding job in the first place. It wasn't just about standing still or looking perfect. It was about serving something greater than himself, about protecting a legacy, a tradition, and a people. But it was also about being human, about the brief moments of connection that made all the sacrifice worthwhile. The crowd had witnessed something many people never get to see, the rare, unspoken side of the Royal Guard. No one in the crowd would have expected such a soft exchange. They had come to see the famous stoic figure, the disciplined soldier who would never flinch, never react. But what they saw instead was a human being, moved by a simple gesture of kindness. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't grand, but it was enough to remind the guard that even the smallest moments could make a difference. Later, when the guard had a moment to himself, he reflected on the encounter. The girl's innocent question had touched him in a way he hadn't expected. He had spent so many years holding himself to the highest standards of discipline, making sure that nothing could break through his exterior. Yet there was something about that small moment, about that simple request from a child, that reminded him that emotions and human connection are part of what make us who we are. It made him realize that no matter how much he tried to block out everything else, there would always be moments when he would feel something. It might be a fleeting glance, a smile, or the kindness of a stranger, but these small things were what kept him grounded. Though he would never show it to the public, the guard understood something deeper. He understood that breaking character didn't mean breaking his commitment to his role. It didn't mean he wasn't a professional or that he wasn't disciplined. It meant he was, in fact, more human, more connected to the people he was protecting. These fleeting moments of vulnerability did not make him weaker. They made him stronger. They gave him a deeper understanding of the significance of his role. The public may never have fully understood the emotional toll of the job, nor would they ever know the struggles that lay beneath the guard's surface. But for those few who witnessed that rare moment of connection, they would remember it forever. They saw the guard not just as a soldier, but as a person, someone who carried the weight of their duty, but also someone who could be moved by the simplest of gestures. And so, as the guard continued to stand in front of the palace, holding his position with the same dedication and discipline, a small part of him carried the memory of that moment. It would remain in his heart as a reminder that even in the most controlled and disciplined roles, there is room for tenderness, for humanity, and for the connections that make us all human. Even the royal guards, with their carefully constructed facades, are not immune to the power of simple, heartfelt moments. These moments, though small and fleeting, shape the very core of who they are and remind them that, no matter how much they strive for perfection, they are still just people, carrying out a job that demands more than just their skills, but also their hearts.